that's carried. I thought we could do the Chief Executive's report and the Mayor's monthly report, and then we'll go back to the hearings panel and the Chewham Street issues. Hopefully the two reports won't take very long. Yes, I was going to do that.
437 of the original main agenda. 438.
Yep, so the Chief Executive's report was in on time, unlike the Mayor's report, which wasn't. So it will be an appendix. So this is in the original agenda item, page 437. And perhaps if I hand it over to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Leanne. I'll just bring to the attention 4 matters for councillors. Obviously, first of all, the tragic events of the 15th of March in the recognition and appreciation that Carleen expresses to the staff for the compassion and care and concern for both the victims and also the wider community over that period. It genuinely was a fantastic effort in the face of very challenging and tragic situations. So that would be the first point that I'd make. The second is the IANZ review. While we're still waiting the formal letter from IANZ, Leonie in the report does talk about how we're expecting that to be a very positive report and the positive feedback that we received from IANZ. So that's a significant achievement for the team there. Thirdly, and it was surpassed somewhat by, unfortunately, the events of the 15th of March, the Sumner Road reopening. So that had been a project that we'd worked on for 3 years and was a significant project and cost a significant sum of money and is important lifeline connection for those communities there. But the opening of that road, which is now open. And then just finally, Leanne mentioned it early on as well, there is an update in here about the Fenelton Service Centre, and I've taken the action away to ensure that the desk design and the accessibility and layout of the service centre, which does include more than just the ventilation, it does include the desk and layout, that we pick up the points that were raised this morning about accessibility, particularly for disabled people. Happy to answer any other questions.
Excellent. Questions? Yanni and Aaron.
Thank you. Page 448, reticulation and maintenance. We're getting 50 jobs for water leaks a day and we're only completing 40. So I'm really concerned. It seems like the situation is getting worse, and I think this backs that up. How are we getting on with getting extra procurement to try and get on top of that job, especially when we've got the water conservation message and we've got the fixing our water supply as well?
Sure. So I'm conscious that the same question was raised at the Finance Performance Committee, and at that committee, Dave explained the number of additional work teams from CityCare that are out on the job. So they are trying to get on top of that issue. But Dave, did you want to add anything else? I think there were 13 additional teams or something like that.
That's correct. They've got extra gangs on. We're also working with CityCare to address it. The ITI committee also asked for a report regarding what are the causes of some of these failures, and so we are bringing back a detailed memo to the ITI committee as soon as we've got it. Unfortunately, the person that can give you all the details in Vietnam at the moment, and so I haven't been able to bring Tim down, but we're certainly looking at ways we can do it, ways we can package it, and ways that we may be able to get work with CityCare to get extra resources in there to address the small ones. One of the issues I have got is we do prioritise them, so we actually do address the large ones, and then we deal with the smaller ones.
So at what point do we go beyond CityCare and just directly try and procure additional resource to get on top of the problem?
We've got two issues really there, because we have got a contract with CityCare and it's got some clauses in it, so you have to live within that contract, and we are working with CityCare, and CityCare have brought on a lot of additional outside resources as a subcontract, no different to the way they did when they worked for Skirt and a whole range of those sorts of things. So we are looking at that, and we are talking to them about whether we package an area up, for example, and put out a contract beyond city care. So we're working through both those two options, but we do have to live within the contractual issues, the documents that we have got.
And can I just add too that at the committee yesterday we talked about, are we going back and repeatedly fixing breaks when we might be looking at actually renewals might be a cheaper option. So all that's going to come back in your memo. So we're trying to get on top of this.
I just kind of wanted to get a sense of when we think we'll get more jobs completed than requests coming in.
I'm sorry, I'd have to get one of my technical, and as I said, Tim, who is doing these negotiations, unfortunately is in Vietnam at the moment, but it will be part of the report that will come back to ITI to look at that whole issue. What's causing them, what's the best approach, because there are some that we may be better to replace rather than fix.
How many kilometres are there that we're dealing with?
No, I don't know how many kilometres. So really lots of different breakages and for different reasons, really.
Yeah, it's a huge job.
Can I ask whether that memo will include the pressure equalisation program as a possible added cause in that, David? Is that
basically, it will cause. We have given you reports, and that'll be probably part of the 8th of May report that comes back beyond wellheads. We are getting breakages because of spikes coming through when we turn on, turn off, and part of that more, we're turning things on and off more because of the chlorine systems and things that we have to check, and a whole range of things. Now, we've given a report. It's been part of the ITI reports. I'm not sure it's come up to council regarding those spikes, and what we've been doing is doing a few monitoring programs. But this report that they've asked for specifically around those outstanding jobs that we've got, those on leakages. So you will get information on that, but it won't be incorporated into the leakage report and response.
And maybe we just need to get some really key messages out to the community, because people are getting really frustrated, ringing up, being told a time frame, nothing happening, having to ring back. So maybe we just need to revise some sort of high-level messages and just help people identify whether something's urgent versus not urgent, because it's quite hard, I think, for the community to kind of comprehend when they're logging a complaint and being told it'll be done within 10 days or 3 days and it's not getting done. So I just...
Sure, we can pick that up.
Yeah.
And certainly our call centre, I understand, has been doing a reasonably good job on that, of actually prioritising and telling the customer what the expectation is. Some of the problems is that sometimes it gets logged as a minor, and when we go out and have a look at it, it's actually a major. Just depends on the description, how good information we get through the network or through the original inquiry.
Yep. Any other questions? Jimmy and David?
On page 443, regarding the Hongkong Library Customer Service Southwest Leisure Center, because consultation, will be closed on next week, 15th of April. But regarding the hearing panel and all those processes, I just want to know, first question is whether the local elected member, like a councillor or committee board, are eligible to be in the hearing panel or not. If not, the other one is whether those hearing panel, make those information to the committee board, make decision, a final decision, or is a council is a final decision. Who can answer this question?
Let me come back to you on that one, Jimmy. We'll get the answers on those two questions for you.
Okay?
We'll get the answers on those two questions and come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
David?
Just a question on wheelie bin tags. Just in my area, someone's been around and they've all been tagged with a yellow dot, but looking at the picture here, it seems to be something a little bit more substantive that's going on the wheelie bins. Is this a two-stage process? Are you just identifying the bins for a starter and then coming back with the tag?
No, the yellow dot is so that the driver can see that the bin is actually tagged. The actual tag goes in underneath the lid, so you won't see it. So we do the two at the same time, and so that when the truck driver otherwise can't see the tag, is hidden underneath the lid or underneath the lip, and so that can automatically be done. So he can then report back and say, I've seen 5 bins that haven't been put out, and that might be because the person didn't put them out on the day that we were tagging them. So you will find, if you have a look closer, not really advising you to do that, but you can, you'll find the tag. There's an electronic tag on it, but the red dot just shows that we've marked it, that we've done it.
Yellow.
The yellow dot, sorry, yeah, and the yellow dot will fade off after a wee while.
Good. All right. Any other questions? Yanni?
Yeah, I was just interested in the workshops around urban design, and staff were invited to, but were any elected members invited to those workshops with the Minister?
I don't know the answer to that question. The workshops haven't occurred yet.
One's occurred and one's still to come, according to this.
What page are you on, Yanni?
Sorry, what page is that, Yanni?
So just 440?
440 and 441. 8th of April. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, and then I mean the other thing is the waste issue. So it just seems to me like we've just had a remit to LG&Z, and yet now there's another process underway where the minister's actually, or the associate minister, meeting with people. So we did talk in the past about having some sort of, sorry, this is just on page 449, natural resource recovery workshop, and I just kind of wondered how that's going to report back to us, whether any elected members again were invited to go, or whether we can do anything locally around a joint approach to the natural resource recovery. It's all gone quite quiet, and it would be quite good to know, you know, what we're looking at locally or regionally versus what's happening nationally. Particularly if we're going to pass remits to go to LG&Z, it might be quite good just to be really aware of it.
Sorry, which page?
This is page 449, the Natural Resource Recovery Workshop. It just kind of speaks to me that we've got all these meetings with ministers that staff are going to, but we don't have anyone from a governance point of view going, which seems a bit of a gap.
It depends who they invite. So,
Right.
central government.
And that was an invitation, and it was officials meeting officials. However, the minister just popped in and gave an address to set the overtone on it. We are intending to report back on all those kind of initiatives that are going, but the world is changing immediately. Standards around the world are or the level of contamination that you're allowed is decreasing quite rapidly, and then unfortunately other people that have been taking are following suit, obviously, so they can now be a lot more. So we're having a number of meetings with Eco Central. I haven't got a time when that information's coming back, but we do. We can certainly put out a memo just regarding what we know at this point in time, if that would be useful.
Well, if you read this, I mean, a container deposit scheme was identified as a potential option for a quick win by the Associate Minister. It's not in the Ministry for Environment work programme. I wonder whether we should be writing to the Associate Minister and MFE as well as LG&Z saying, excuse me guys, can we just, we think this is important. That would be my recommendation. I'm happy to move something if that's permitted.
For sure. So we'll just add to that that the Mayor, well, somebody else can write a letter and I'll sign it, to the council write to the Associate Minister of
The Environment.
the Associate Minister for the Environment, in order to promote the container deposit scheme. To promote a container deposit scheme in line with our recommendation, in line with our remit to the LG&Z conference. How's that? Yep. So would someone like to move the report and that resolution moved by Jimmy Chen, seconded by Aaron Kewen? Is there any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no.